Hey, hello, and welcome to the last stream of the week. It is Friday, so it's weekend very soon. For me, at least. Congratulations, Tack, on getting first. Welcome. Applause. Applause, applause. Thank you for being here. Hello. Yeah, so. We are here with more reading. Finally had our break yesterday, and next week, let me double check. Next week might be the last week. Nah. It's 1 or 2 more weeks. It depends. We will see. But 1 or 2 more weeks before we're taking our little, quite long winter break holiday. Because I will not be in the country, so it's hard for me to stream without anything. Hello, Final Smile, welcome. Took my morning shot, that's right. Hiccup. So we have energy. No. Last time it was cocaine, now it's hard alcohol. Absinthe, right? For anyone who was here where we played Valhalla, the bartender game, we got absinthe. But now we are in a different type of game-ish setting. Hello! We are entering the dungeon. And I am still shocked about how long we're gonna stay in this fucking dungeon. But you will hear about it in the recap that I've written down in my notes over here. There, I have them. And we shall read them. And I might get another package. Did I get a package today? I think I'm getting a package today. But it's not a fucking desk or like a huge ass share. It's just tiny stuff now. So I will just grab it in the stairs and run back up again. It should be fast and no complications. Otherwise, it should, I feel. Shouldn't it be that if you are a DHL driver, like I want, like I do not understand. There's so many old people living in my building, right? Like old people. If they order something, if they need something, then they will not be able to carry that shit up by themselves. Like they can barely walk the stairs, which is also insane that there's so many that old people and there's no elevator. Like I feel so bad for them, but they don't seem to ever leave their rooms. Like I know one of them gets food delivered to her. You know, it's to that level. And so I'm like, what the fuck do they do? Like, what setup do they have? Like, if there is a delivery for something that they need, and they're like, I cannot walk the stairs, like, and the people are like, oh, we'll just leave it outside, or like, we're not gonna bring it up for you because that's not in our job description. Because it is. Because I looked it up. Because I was like, do they have to come and bring it up to my apartment? And apparently they don't. And I was like, fuck. I actually have to do that shit. But I'm like, how do they do it? Like they're always home, so that's always a plus. But it's like, because sometimes the DHL drivers are like also like old small women, and I'm like, you cannot carry this by yourself. Just like I can't carry this by myself. The old lady below me cannot do it by herself. So who's gonna do it? Like imagine if they don't have anyone, or like I'm like, are they not allowed to order stuff? Like, And then, like, yeah, how often does that happen that they need something that's really heavy? But I'm like, still, well, what's the solution here? Anyway, I'm just pissed that I once had to sit outside for 8 hours just to get help to carry something up that I couldn't. And it was standing outside, not inside. I couldn't even bring it inside the apartment hallway. So I was stuck outside because otherwise, I have heard that people come and take them. So I'm like, well, there is nothing else for me to do. I have to sit out here and guard my fucking packages until someone comes to help me. So, yeah. That's why I wanted to be in the DHL or Amazon or whatever fucking delivery man people that they bring it, that they have, like, if I ask, they have an obligation to bring it up to me and they need to help me. Yeah, of course they don't have to, apparently. So, my bad that I need a fucking table, I need a chair, I need stuff. A closet. Okay, there we have the cocaine. Do I have to alliterate that I'm joking? Probably not. I will not say that I'm joking. Anyway, recap time, right? Yeah. We will recap. Very good. Thank you. Recap. Last time on A Soldier's Life, we found the dungeon. Before they can enter, they have to clear out all the spooky ghosts. Both Constantine and Maviet get injured, but nothing that won't heal. They decide to send Castile into the dungeon first. She confirms what the scholar has found, that it is a maze and has spiders in it. And she brought a spider with her so the company could eat. Eric also enters solo and eats some of his stored food and goes through his backpacks and all that shit, uses his collector 100 times, but also brings back a whole bear and a lot of fish for the company and a healing potion for Constantine. They don't stay hidden for long, sadly, since the summoner seems to have found them, so the plan now is to hide in the dungeon and hope that the summoner gives up. For a whole year. What the fuck? A year, Castile. They will spend a year in the dungeon? Huh? What? Like, what? And they've divided them into groups, and as you can clearly see, these are the I don't give a fuck if they die group. So maybe they will get lost. But that also does have zero impact, so I don't know. I think Ramus is the only ginger that they have, the young one or something, that he's the ginger at least. That's the only thing. I have no idea who these two people are. I know that I've said their names, but that's about it. So, but and I assume that since they will be there for a whole year, like all of these people will find each other, right? But I assume like they will get lost at first, and it will be the whole like, oh, how do we find each other? And some people will die, you know. So, oh, I have no fucking idea what's gonna happen. But a year, we're gonna stay in this dungeon. So let's see how that fucking goes. Ja. Yes, and Firth did not get a healing potion, and his arms needs it, so he's angry. But fuck Firth. Fuck Firth. I'm happy he's not in my team. We have maybe. Hell yeah. Okay. Onwards we go. Oh, I have a picture of a dragon. Is that the summoner's dragon? I doubt that we will meet a dragon in the dungeon. That would be cool though. And terrifying. So maybe, who knows? dragon. Chapter 146. Not a graceful entrance. Constantine returned from the wine vault. All 6 men who had followed him were laden with bottles of wine, clicking as they moved with broad smiles. The mood was joyous, as the men thought we had a source of food and plenty to drink. Castile had been cycling who had received the nightmare spell as well, so everyone was finally somewhat well rested. As the men celebrated, Constantine came to report. 120 bottles. Holy shit! Do you want us to make another trip? We cut down 5 specters on the trip that will be reforming. Eric should come with us with the kettle. Castile replied heavily. No, there will not be time. The summoner released the storm elementals from his control and is preparing for a new summons. Harpy's tits, Constantine rasped, realization sinking in. How much time do we have? Castile had a stoic visage as she answered. Not much time. I keep checking on his progress every hour, right? Because she can see her with she can see him with her all-seeing eye thingy. When I see him start his summons, we will move. Adrian added, we have divided up the company to enter the dungeon. You will be with Castile, Blaze, and me. Constantine's eyebrows went up in surprise, and he looked at me. Eric is going with Maviet, Brutus, and Fabian. Constantine nodded, but I could see him thinking. Maybe he was going to make a case for me to remain with the premier group, but he never voiced his opinion. I'm going to tell the men now so we can prepare. Castile made to stand. Castile, can I have the Dreamscape amulet back? Right, she still has it. I asked softly. Things were about to get hectic, and I did not want that detail to get lost in the confusion. The amulet would be invaluable for me inside the dungeon. Castile put her hand between her breasts, feeling the amulet underneath her tunic. Sorry, Eric. What? You have to give it back, bitch. I forgot I still had it. Oh, okay. I thought you meant like, sorry, Eric, I will bring this with me. I'm like, huh? It's mine. Still, Castile's hand was slow and reluctant as she went to retrieve it. She placed it on the table, and I made it disappear. Castile exhaled regretfully and moved to talk with the men. I definitely thought she was hoping I'd forgotten about it. 100%. This makes me trust Castile a little bit less, just because of this, like, I understand that this dreamscape thingy, like, especially for her, like, no, especially for anyone, like, it's a fucking dream to have. Like, it's such a huge thing. So I understand, like, I would be reluctant to give it back as well, but I'm also like, yeah, it's not mine. Like, thank you, but you can have it back, it's yours. Hello, Kate, good morning. We just started with the first chapter of the day. Yeah? Adrian tapped the butt of a spear he found in the rooms upstairs on the floor to get everyone's attention. The men quickly went silent and faced Castile. She took a deep breath. I hope everyone enjoyed the fish soup this morning. Murmurs of agreement raised among the men. I had thought it bland, but the hot soup warmed me from the inside. One day for long, I'm on a train and the internet sucks. Dude, don't I know it? Deutsche Bahn fucking internet? No thanks. Understandable. Have a nice day at college, which I assume you're going to. Otherwise, have a nice day wherever you're going. Have a nice trip. I've heard that there's a lot of train issues recently, so I hope that doesn't catch you. 4 hours and 30 minutes. Holy shit, enjoy. Oosh. Oh, I have long trips in front of me as well. I am so not looking forward to them. Like, oh, oosh. When I leave to go to the airport, then I'm gonna have to stay outside for majority of the night on a random fucking ass train station in the middle of the night for 2 hours that I've never been to, and I am terrified because I will be alone. That's why I will not say what date it is. But my god, I'm terrified. Oosh. Hopefully I won't get stabbed. I don't know what you would do here. Stabbing is so British. Like, I don't know. Drugged. Mugged. Anyway. Mugged. Not mugged. What? Mugged. Anyway. Castile continued. The summoner is preparing to bring forth another creature outside the city walls. I guess Castile decided to rip the bandage off. The room went deathly silent, except for the wood crackling in the fireplace. The fire had obviously drawn the summoner's attention, but we could not hide from him forever. Everyone understood how powerful the elven summoner was. It was why we had sheltered ourselves inside the city, using the specters as protection. We are going to seek refuge inside the dungeon and wait him out, Castile announced. A lot of men fidgeted, suddenly uncomfortable. Dungeons were not known for being forgiving places. You have seen the sustenance it can provide, and even though we have to enter in groups of 4, we should all be able to find each other inside, given enough time. The scholar has confirmed as much. The mood lightened at that news. Castile did not mention how big the dungeon was, said to be in the children's book she was referencing. The princess snuck into the dungeon on her own and was able to wander miles without meeting any others inside. But I mean, if she went into the dungeon on her own, then who knows if anyone was inside? What? Wait, if she went in alone, just like when Eric did, like he wouldn't just randomly meet Mavid inside. He didn't go inside. What? Okay. Adrian took over the speech. There are over 100 entry rooms. If your team ends up in a bad location, exit and re-enter together. Firth leads the first team and will have Willie, Mateo, and Felix. The 4 men quickly found each other. Firth and Willie frequently worked together, and Mateo and Felix were the company's babysitters. At least that was what they did for me when I first arrived. Firth was mostly disabled, so he would be relying on the others until he connected with another group or found a healing potion. Lucian will lead Benito, Pavel, and Lurkin as a second team, Adrian announced. Benito hooted. Yes, we got the cook! Dude, that's so true. Adrian stared hard. If you want him to cook for you, Benito, then you need to kill something that he can cook. The realization that he would have to fight the dungeon critters shut him up. Benito's wrist was still broken and swollen. Oh, that's not nice. From memory, Adrian announced the third team. Did he do it from the paper, from the first 2? One team will only have 3 men. Cyrus, Soren, and Remus. These 3 were the quietest men in the company. The red-haired Remus, I was right. My memory did not deceive me. The red-haired Remus cursed under his breath, clearly unhappy. When we had been assigning groups, they had been the 3 odd men out. Remus was from Gregor's company, and he never really fit in. When the minor commotion Remus made died down, Adrian continued. Flavius will lead Linus, Dante, and Colm. Linus and Colm were 2 of the most liked men in the company, and had helped a lot of men through the last few weeks. I still did not trust Flavius, but he was a competent scout and should keep them alive. Eric will lead Brutus and Maviot and protect the scholar, Adrian said, looking pointedly at Remus. My group essentially had just 3 fighters, and Maviot was hampered by injury. This mollified Remus some for being in a group of 3. I had selected Maviot because I felt guilty for involving him in the ill-fated expedition. He was also probably the best man in the entire company at processing kills. Proceeding? The scholar would hopefully have value with his ability to read the elven script in the safe rooms. I chose Brutus as my 4th because he was one of the best spearmen and swordsmen in the company, and he's fucking funny. I want him with me. We were also friends, and I thought he could keep my secrets if I had to reveal them. Yeah, but maybe it won't be able to. Adrian did not announce the last team. Castile, Blaze, Constantine, and himself. It was implied. Get with your teams. Eric is responsible for dividing operations and gear. My head snapped to Adrian, but I guess that was my job now that Delmar was gone. Rip. I spent time with Lurkin, dividing up the fish, smoked and dried meat. I had the scholar divide the wine. Everyone got 7 bottles, with 2 extras that I took for myself. I sent all 9 bottles of wine into my dimensional storage. Everyone else would have to carry their allocation. I gave you the deepest reds, Eric. They have been the tastiest and densest wines we sampled. Fabian whispered to me conspiratorially. If you can manage to resist the urge to drink them, they will be worth a king's ransom to a first citizen. The old man was ever the optimist. I patted the older man on the shoulder. Thank you, Fabian. Is Fabian old? Wait, is that a scholar? That's a scholar, right? Yeah. Okay. I chose you because your language skills will be extremely useful in the dungeon with interpreting the elven script. How old is Fabian? Okay, he is a scholar, 100%. But I didn't know he was old. I have a issue with remembering people's ages in this company because I feel like everyone is at the same age. But then sometimes it's like I know Constantine is older, but I don't know what he counts as old. Like, is it old in the human world, or is it old for like a mercenary? So is he like, 40, or is he 60? I have no idea. And now it's a scholar, so I don't know how old he is. Since Eric was like 26, late 20s, almost 30, late 20s. Yeah. I don't know how old they are. I think he's late 40s or early 50s. My god. Oh, wait, the scholar or Constantine? The scholar, I would assume. He nodded sharply. I will do whatever I can to help. Constantine, okay. Late 40s. He's almost 50. Herrejävlar. Yeah, I do remember that they said that he was kind of old when we talked about the woman he works for. And the scholar, no idea. Yeah, me neither. Apparently he's old. A lot of the men were packing and repacking their gear out of nervousness. It was not like we were not going to take everything we possibly could into the dungeon with us. Brutus came and sat with us. Mavieth, I hope you are bringing your checkers board. I think we're going to have a lot of free time. Most definitely, Mavieth said, tapping the bag with the board inside. Mavieth hesitated before asking in his baritone. Eric, do you have your dreamscape amulet? I just nodded. Mavieth either wanted to see his sister again or bash some orcs by his happy nod. Lurkin was busy cooking and smoking as much as he could before we were ordered into the dungeon. I assume that he means like smoking fish, but it would be funny if he's just cooking and then you're just like puffing cigarettes the whole time. It was not long after sunset that Castile suddenly stood. Her abrupt motion caused everyone to be quiet and turn to her. Her eyes were staring off into the distance as an hour had passed, and she was checking on the summoner. Enter the dungeon, she said sharply. We do not have much time. No questions. Just go as soon as your team is together. No one hesitated. Men raised to shoulder packs and grabbed items with their free hands. Remus, Soren, and Cyrus were the first to head into the snow tunnel. Adrian barked at them. Remember, you need to be touching each other when you enter. Oh, don't say it like that. Being the smallest group made it easy to organize and go first. My group was helping the scholar pack the books he had been perusing. Firth, Willie, Matteo, and Felix were next to enter less than a minute later. I stepped near Castile to hear what she was saying to Adrian and Constantine. The crazy elf summoned 2 wyverns. He's trying to control them now. We do not have time to waste. Damn, the summoner likes his wyverns. Constantine stepped closer to Castile. We should go next. He was impatient as they were ready. Castile looked at him sharply. No, we will go last. Flavius was shepherding his 3 charges into the tunnel at the moment. We are ready, Brutus yelled to me from near the snow tunnel. Lucian had his group head into the tunnel, cutting in front of us as Brutus looked angrily at me, missing our opportunity to go next. The building shook as I took a step toward the tunnel. Dust spilled from the stone rafters, and the building groaned and cracked at the added weight of a wyvern. Oh my god. I'm so terrified. If Eric goes first, then we will not see Castile's group enter. What if they don't enter? Brutus entered after Benito. Go! I yelled from behind Mavian. Brutus was the first of my group to enter the snow tunnel, followed by Fabian. A hunched Brutus raced down the tunnel, with Mavian having difficulty keeping up as he was forced to crawl behind Fabian. I was hunched over, pushing Mavian's rear to move faster. Blaze was behind me, the first member of the last group, Castile's group. Move faster! He anxiously yelled as the snow above us suddenly thudded with debris as the wyvern destroyed the building. Wow. Chunks of wood and stone rained down, thudding into the stone tables that served as the tunnel's ceiling. Some bricks even made it through the snow to our sides. The gate seemed so far away in the light of a dropped glowstone midway. Oh my god. A specter appeared. Of course it did! Right in front of me from the snowpack on my right. There was no way to draw my sword, but fortunately I had the elven runic dagger. Maybe it howled as the specter plowed into his hips. Oh fuck no. I stabbed repeatedly until the specter faded from existence. I realized Castile had the Kettle of Souls, so leaving the dungeon without it would be a problem. But that was a problem for future me. It is a rush of specters out here, Adrian's voice rang back in the tavern. The wyverns tearing the tavern apart had attracted specters in the city to rush the building. This was about as bad a scenario as I could think of. A large number of specters might remain around the dungeon entrance even after the wyverns left. Move, Mavieth! I pushed him harder, and a moment later, the black surface of the doorway to the dungeon embraced him, and I followed. Mavieth was sprawled on his belly in front of me. Did they all touch? The familiar stone surrounded us. We were in an oval chamber with only the dungeon exit as a single corridor. I breathed a sigh of relief. Mavieth, are you okay? Is it just he? It's just him and Mavieth. Oh my god. He groaned as he rolled over onto his back, rubbing his hip where the spectre had contacted him. Wait, where are Fabian and Brutus? Oh, this is so... Oh, I can't with this. Mavieth sat up slowly, a pained, apologetic look on his face. Sorry, Eric. When the spectre hit me, I lost contact with Scholar Fabian. I shoved him forward through the portal, thinking we would be overrun. I was not sure if I should be angry with Mavieth. We had made it into the dungeon. I hoped the last group with Castile and the Kettle of Souls also made it. Mavieth stood and had trouble putting weight on his leg. I knew the effect of the spectre's attack would fade in another day or so. I pulled out the elven food from my dimensional space. Mavieth's eyes went wide at the variety and amount. Where were you keeping all this? I divided the elf rations in half and handed them to Mavieth. I kept a little in reserve. I need you strong to help in this dungeon. Eat what you can. We can harvest more food from the dungeon. I walked the outer wall, finding the elven script I was searching for. I focused on it, translating the script. Well, we don't need Fabian then, I guess. Unknown quadrant. Are you serious? 2 shapeshifters in the room and the end of corridor. Extremely dangerous. Well, shit. Can't they just out fast in again? You know? Fuck it. Or just wait a bit and then in out. Chapter 147. The Elven Children. Children. It is beautiful, Mavieth noted. He was staring at the ceiling. The flowing river of lights and silvery flashes might be beautiful if you did not know you were in a dungeon that was trying to kill you. Yes, Mavieth, it is. I could not get angry with the Goliath, as our teamwork was going to be important in getting through this. What do you know about space shape changers? That is what is down the corridor, I pointed. Mavieth moved painfully to look down the corridor. It looked to go for maybe 100 feet before opening into a room. Mavieth considered my question. Many creatures can change shape. Doppelgangers are not the most common ones found in cities. I've never met one, at least not one I was aware of. The elves wrote that they were extremely dangerous. Can you fight? I asked my friend, and he affectionately rubbed the head of his hammer on his belt. Can we wait a day? I should regain movement and feeling in my leg by then, Maviot said, rubbing at his hip. I nodded, as waiting made sense. Rushing through the dungeon would be a bad idea. I will go scout. Have you ever been in a dungeon? Maviot shook his head. We already knew that. What the fuck do you mean? That's why Maviot came with, because he was like, I want to see a dungeon. I've never been in a dungeon. Well, my experience is limited, but so far I learned that if you do not enter the rooms where the monsters are, they cannot attack you, I revealed. Maviot nodded. I heard a lot of dungeons have dangerous traps between rooms, and there are also some rooms that are safe to stay in. Great. That was all we needed. Traps. I hope Maviot had not just jinxed us by mentioning it. I will be careful. Wait here, and I will be back in a few minutes. I stood, adjusted the small round shield, and drew my black blade. I proceeded down the corridor to the room, doing my best to remain silent. I counted my steps, 106, probably the length of a football field. It made me worry just how large this dungeon might actually be. The light got brighter as I approached the room. It was a large room with a green carpet of moss and bushes dotting the floor. I just realized, because I was thinking, it's like, can you live in a dungeon? But then I was like, yeah, technically, I guess. But the thing is also that they said that all the creatures in the dungeon rooms respawn. That is an issue. It's an issue, and it's also a unlimited amount of supplies. I wonder if you get every time you clear a room, because every time you clear a room, you get a room clear reward chest. But if they respawn, then do you get another reward chest? Because then you also have unlimited treasure, which is hella nice. So if that's the case, then if you were in a, I guess the room he was in, because was easy because it's easy for Eric to kill a bear with his dimensional space. Because otherwise it was just fish in there. So you're like, yeah. But probably not, right? Like that would be way too OP. But then again, no one wants to stay in there, so no one would do it. So maybe it does. We'll probably find out. I assume it won't. But yeah. Hello, Agron. Welcome. They do. They do. Crazy, right? No one has ever heard of that. The light got brighter as I approached the room. It was a large room with a green carpet of moss and bushes dotting the floor. The bushes had blue-green leaves and dark blue berries. Ooh. Movement caught my eye in the room, and I was speechless. A young elf child stood, perhaps only 10 years old by human standards. She said something in Elvish that I had not been paying close enough attention to catch. Another elf child stood on the other side of the chamber, this one a male, and looked to be about the same age. Both were dressed in rags. Well, Eric has a fucking reputation of killing children, so... I was paying attention this time as the boy spoke. Have you come to save us? Take us out of the dungeon. Oh, I thought they were talking to each other, not to Eric. The elf girl added. We have been trapped in a dungeon for so very long. Oh, is this real? Nay. This is not real. Both children had large, blue, innocent-looking eyes, and I immediately felt pity for them. Can he not just check if, like, just step in here. Just come here. Step into this room. If they can't, then you kill them. If they can, then they're real. Because they cannot leave the room that they spawn in. But no way that they're real. I was still learning Elvish, so I formulated my response slowly. You can come with me. The exit is down this corridor. I indicated behind me. I already knew these were the creatures in the warning written on the wall. Yeah. Really? The female said excitedly. Can you come and help us carry our treasure out? You can have some for saving us. I almost wanted to laugh at the obvious trap. They just wanted me to enter the room so they could attack me. I paused, considering maybe these shape-changers had sapience. There were 2 exits from their room. I wonder if you will find the goblin child. That would be crazy. I pointed at the other corridors. Where do those lead? The boy pointed at one. That one leads to a big, mean red bear. Red? He pointed at the other corridor. That is where we got our treasure. We can show you if you want. I will admit the elven children in the rags looked innocent and convincing. Maybe the elves of Kaelora were fooled by the act. I knew no one had entered the dungeon in 1500 years, so still being children was impossible. Also, the warning on the wall helped. The children kept trying to lure me inside the chamber as I examined the mossy floor. Was there a danger there as well? Were those berries good to eat? I wished a scholar or even Constantine were here. Did I just wish for Constantine? Well, his ability to know if something was safe to eat anyway. The elven girl started to approach cautiously, almost as if I were the monster. She stopped 10 feet from me, well within my range. I remained calm and unthreatening. If you do not want our treasure, maybe you want something else, she said provocatively, changing her lure. I aligned a box over her head and attempted to move it into my dimensional space. I let out a small smile as I used my dimensional storage. Sorry, what? Wait, what is happening? I aligned a box over her head. Wait, he put a box over her head and attempted to move it into my dimensional space. You put a box over her head, so her head is now covered with a box, and then move it into his dimensional space. What the head? So he kills her that way, so he doesn't have to see her when she dies, or what? What? I woke on the ground moments later with a splitting headache. The two elf children were standing at the entrance, evil smirks on their faces. Look at the poor soldier boy, the girl said scornfully. Did he hurt himself? He tried something and failed. He is a failure, the boy mocked me. I stood slowly, and my ether had barely recovered from bottoming out. The weird thing was that the shape-changer had not resisted my attempt. It was like my ability had rebounded at the entrance to the room. I backed away from the smirking monsters. Okay. Thinking about what just happened, I was making a wild guess. The monsters could not leave the room. So if you have a ranged weapon or spell, you could kill the creatures from the doorway. I needed to test my theory further. I waited until my ether recovered and removed a bow and a single arrow from my storage. The two children's eyes went wide, not in surprise, but in mocking merriment. I aimed at the girl and fired. There's just so much killing children. My aim was true, but the arrow lost all momentum at the door and just fell into the room softly. Okay. The elf girl walked forward, picked up the arrow, and touched the sharp tip. I do not think he wants to play with us, she said, locking eyes with me. She blinked, and her blue eyes went completely yellow before they were back to blue in the next blink. Okay. I started backing up as the two began laughing in a musical tone. I returned to find Maviot sitting against the wall. Several empty bags were nearby from the elven rations I had given him. Maviot handed me a half-full bottle of wine. What did you find, Eric? 2 demon tricksters were masquerading as children, I said, sitting down next to him. They are blocking us from exploring further in the labyrinth, so we will have to deal with them. But that is a problem for tomorrow. I finished a half bottle of wine and relieved myself along one of the walls. What happens if can he piss through into the room with the children? It's fucked. But we set up we set up our bedrolls just to the left of the exit of the dungeon. My only thought of that was that, well, then at least they didn't have to smell as much piss where they sleep, because then they would be in another room at least, so it's a little bit further from where they have to stay for the day. That was my trail of thought. Okay, it was not to piss on the children. Anyway, we were going to have to trust that we were safe in the entry room. Oh. I placed the amulet around my neck and I told Mavitt I was going into the dreamscape. He acknowledged my words before falling asleep himself. Mavitt was too exhausted to even ask to join me in the dreamscape. Entering the dreamscape, I was in the entry room as normal. I walked to the scorpion room, where I had stashed everything and everyone. I silenced the people and went to my bookshelf. I added a dozen of the elven books I had not gotten to yet, and then pulled a book on ether shaping. During my time in the dungeon, I would focus on my magic, hoping to find magic essences in here eventually. Learning a displacement spell form was a waste of time, and I did not have spell form manuals for my other high affinities. Oscar sat in my lap while I studied, seeing we would not play. I spent 8 hours inside the dreamscape going through the ether shaping and channeling exercises that I had learned from Damien, the healer, back during Legion training. I miss Damien. The practice inside the dreamscape was always more effective, and I made progress in my control of the ether, even though I was fairly sure my shaping had already been maxed. My limiting factor was my ether shaping attribute. Mavith was still asleep when I exited, his breathing hoarse but deep. I needed to get him a healing potion. My ether was over half recovered, and I stood. There was no point in hiding things now. We were going to be dependent on each other. Oi. I pulled out the elven tablet table. Oh. I was cleaning it when Mavith stirred and woke. He looked confused at the table. Where did that come from? I picked it up in the Undercity. Have you never seen one before? It is a tablet reader, I said nonchalantly. Mavith's brow was furrowed, and he was perplexed. I could see his mind working on the problem, and he came to the correct conclusion quickly. Your dimensional space is much bigger than everyone thinks. Ah, maybe yes. Do you know if I would have told anyone about my secrets, it would be Mavith. 100%. Sure, he is the one who's also cannot shut the fuck up, but I trust Mavith more than anyone else in this godforsaken company because he has nothing to gain, you know, from Eric's failure. Like he has nothing, like, and there is no one he works under, you know, that type of, like, he's just a nice, kind Goliath living in the woods, you know. And now Eric helped him be a part of the company so he can stay in those woods. So, like, he is... Like, I don't mean it in a mean way when I say that he's no one. He's Mavith, you know? He's just Mavith. He has his life, you know? So, if anyone Mavith should know, I would have trusted Mavith with the full truth, if anyone. Bingo. Bingo, Mavith replied, once again confused and trying to puzzle out the meaning. He's so cute. Do not worry about it, Mavith. I wanted to show you this to prove my dimensional space is slightly bigger than you thought. I indicated to the table. Mavith inspected the table. I have seen them before, but I have never used one. His fingers ran across the displays. This table had everything, all attributes and all the affinities. But from my understanding, it was keyed to the elven race. The one with the shadows I did not finish. No. Sadly, I wasn't allowed to. But this one I'm allowed to, so that's why we had to switch it up. Oh, yeah. Elven rays. Maybe it. You just need to channel a tiny bit of ether in here. I pointed to the handprint on the right side of the device. The result will come out in elven numerals, but I will read them to you. I encouraged him. I was also curious about what his readings would be. Maybe it placed his hand and forced his ether into the device. Nothing happened. Maybe it had been damaged and did not work. I think I need to hold the other side of the table as well, Maybe it guessed. There was no handprint on the other side of the table, though. Try it and use a little more ether this time, I encouraged him. Mavith gripped the edge of the table and placed his hand again. A heartbeat later, the table was illuminated in a soft glow, and numbers filled in after the elven scripts on the table. Okay, let's fucking see her. Okay, we have his physical strength, 77. Okay, so he has kind of high strength. We already knew that. Power is okay. Quickness, a little bit less, but still good. I mean, 38 out of 55. Dexterity, half. Endurance, no. Constitution is low. Coordination is very high. And his mental intellect, I mean, 20 out of 38. We know who he is, you know how he is. Reasoning, also pretty high. Perception, good. Insight, also decent. Resilience is okay. Empathy, of course, 48. I'm amazed that it's not higher. Fortitude, I don't even know what that is, but that's fine. Magic, Etherpool, 9 out of 10. Channeling is also okay. Ether shaping, very good. Ether tolerance, very good as well. Ether resistance is fine. And prime affinity earth, and that we already knew. Okay. Elemental magic's common. Fire 0, air 3. Air 3. Water 0, earth 14. Lightning energy 7. Spirit healing 0, nature plant 2. Dude, he's such a woodsman. He's so cute. Unaffiliated magic's uncommon. He has 0 on all of these. Charm, illusion, clairvoyance, protection, necromancy, celestial, abyssal, 0. Rare magic's also 0. Space-time displacement, materialism, worlds, void, convergence. Yeah. No shocker there. His ratings confirmed it was keyed to elven physiology. Maybe it had 2 potentials past 100, where 100 should have been the maximum. Well, that was how it worked on a human tablet anyway. I started reading off the numbers for Mavia. When I finished, I explained to him. Unless you fortified your stats with essences, they may have dropped while we starved in the city. It looks like Earth is the only spell form you can learn. Maybe it could shape stone, so he had already learned his one spell form. He nodded and replied in his deep voice. I feel really weak and have lost a lot of weight since we entered the library. Can we check again when I'm healthy and fit? Sure thing, Mavia. Cute! Now, I need you to understand the size of my dimensional space is a secret. Can you keep that secret for me? I said seriously. It did not take long for Mavia to nod. I understand, Eric. What about you? Are you going to use the device? Oh, okay. Chapter 148. Change is coming. Definitely. Maybe it's a question on whether, I don't know if you heard that, my stomach is like, I'm sorry if that gets picked up. Maybe it's a question on whether I would also use the reader hung in the air. Maybe his physical attributes were impressive for an elf, I guess. I wanted to build trust with the Goliath, but was worried about him seeing my high magic affinities. He may not be able to read Elvish, but he could probably figure out numbers fairly quickly, and there were just too many non-zeros in my affinity. I decided on a distraction. I don't think so. At least not right now, anyway. I wanted to show you this. I placed the obsidian stone on the floor. I could still feel the heat emanating from it. I found it my first time in the dungeon. That was sort of true, as I had not realized I had been carrying it until then. Maybe it approached the stone, his hand just inches away. His brow furrowed. A fire starter. This would have been useful, but perhaps we can use it to cook inside the dungeon. Brutus has most of our firewood in his pack. Stuff in my fucking glasses. Fire starter. Exactly what I was thinking, but I just thought it was a thermal stone for heating a room, I replied, feeling the heat for myself. The air in the dungeon was cool, but not cold. Maybe it apparently knew a little bit about thermal stones. There are different grades of thermal stones. It depends on how fast they can convert ether into heat. The material they are made from is mined and shaped on Stone Mountain Island, and artificers from around the world purchase it from Goliath miners and crafters, he said proudly. He's so cute. He touched the stone and withdrew his hand back. This is a high-quality fire starter. The more ether you channel into it, the hotter it will get. To cook, just channel the ether into it until it turns red. The gray-skinned Goliath considered the stone. It should remain hot for an hour or so before cooling off slowly, based on its size. How long do they last? How many times can I charge it? I asked the Goliath. Maybe it shrugged, going to his pack for materials to cook. As long as the stone is not damaged, it should last forever. My father, he paused. My father had one passed down from my great-grandfather. We should cook something, Maybe it said excitedly. He had a lot of weight to put back on, so I was not surprised. He went to his pack and pulled out the mostly frozen fillet. He soon hummed to himself as he charged the stone to a red color and carefully balanced the pot on the stone. He meticulously washed and cooked the fish. Without oil, the skin stuck to the pan, but maybe it did not seem to care about the lost nutrition. He was happy about the normal, of cooking and reminiscing about cooking with the thermal stone. The smell of the cooking fish soon permeated the room, and as Maviet focused on the task, I figured out how to clear the tablet reader. The surface was blank, and without Maviet seeing it, I activated it, cleared it, and returned it to my dimensional space. I took a place to sit along the wall to puzzle out my reading. I had to think way back to my last reading to calculate the changes in my head. None of my affinities for magic had changed. Okay. Elemental magics, we have Earth 6, Lightning Energy 8, Spirit Healing 23. Unaffiliated magics, Charm Mind 5, Protection Guardian 30. I remember that being high, yes. Rare magics, Space 98 and Time 90. Displacement 61, Materialism 9, Worlds 88, Void 22, and Convergence 74. My physical, mental, and magical attributes had changed. Some of them had even decreased. Oi, okay, well that I will not. Ah, strength -7. No? All of these are like minus. What do you mean some? Majority of them have changed. Strength -7, power -2, quickness -5, dexterity the same, endurance -3, constitution -8, coordination -4, intellect -2, reasoning -5, perception -4, insight -3, resilience -2, empathy same, fortitude -5 as well. I mean, none of the, like, strength 45 out of 80. Quickness also quite high. I mean, it's still high numbers, I would say. I mean, intellect is... but I mean, 30 out of 54 is kind of... Other pools the same. Channeling +7 and max +2, if I remember correctly, that this numbers here were like if this one maxed or something, and this is what you added. I think that was the case. Ether shaping +2, ether tolerance +8, and ether resistance +1 in prime affinity space that we already know. So magical has gone plus, but everything else is minus or the same, which is the case of dexterity and empathy. So strength -7 and constitution -8. That's quite... But constitution also says that it +1. I didn't realize that I missed these. There's perception, empathy, constitution, and power also all went up by 1 in the max. Oh. The first thing I tried to puzzle out was that the essences I had consumed, my potential seemed right in line with expectations. But if this tablet reader were made for elven physiology, would not my potentials be different? Some type of sliding scale? The second part of my confusion was the decrease in my attributes. With weeks of starvation, it made sense I would lose attributes. I was probably 25 pounds lighter, if not more. Maybe I would recover quickly with the more food that I consumed. I thought back to the other men in company, and our fighting effectiveness had definitely dropped, but not as much as you would think for how little we were eating. Constantine had mentioned that the essences fortified your attributes and made it more difficult to lose ground over time. Maybe my slow aging also played a role in helping mediate my losses. I thought I had fared much better than a lot of the others in the company. I forgot that he had slow aging. Thank you for reminding me. Maviet had finished cooking and presented me with half the large fillet. The fish was flaky and tasted buttery except for the tiny strings of cartilage, which I had just swallowed. Maviet ate contentedly as well, savoring the fish while the fire started slowly changing from red to black in its cooling process. He just needs to eat a bit and then he's fine. Are you healthy enough to fight? I asked Maviot after we digested the meal. He nodded slowly. I can swing my hammer. What are we facing? Kids. Two shapeshifters that are masquerading as elven children. They tried to trick me into coming into the room. The room is covered in a carpet of green moss. I'm not sure if it conceals any danger. I pointed at the wall. Apparently, this room was an unpopular starting point, as the elves did not map it. Maybe it stood painfully, wincing as he did so, probably, maybe. We should also try and find the others. He pulled his hammer from the loop on his belt and nodded to me. To Maviot's amazement, I stored both our packs in my dimensional space. Best not to be slowed down by them. Together, we made our way down the corridor, side by side. The width and height of the passage were around 10 feet. As we approached, the two elven children were standing at the entryway, blocking our access to the room. The boy spoke in Elvish. Look, he has returned and brought a friend, the girl added. I think they have come to play. It has been so long since we played with anyone. Maviot's hands flexed along the handle of his sledgehammer and questioned me. What are they saying? Their movements seem unnatural for children. Yeah. The girl switched to Latin. Oh, the big one speaks the new tongue. I wanted to play with him first. I also forgot that they all speak Latin. I completely... Now I'm getting flashbacks, like, immediately. I was like, shit, right. Eric had to learn Latin in the beginning, and he had to have the fucking translation, like the Google Translate amulet on him all the time. Holy shit, right. He learned Latin. They speak Latin. I could not help my own curiosity and asked the pair, Are you the dungeon talking through these creatures? He calls us creatures. You're the creature, coming in here to kill and loot over and over again. The girl berated me in Latin. We are not the dungeon, just playthings of it. If you are not going to play with us, leave. I had never heard of creatures in a dungeon talking before. Maybe it said worriedly. Are you sure we should be fighting them? The boy teased Maviot. Look, you have scared the big one. He's going to be too afraid to enter now. Back up to the center of the room and we will enter, I requested of the pair. Could you even reason with these creatures? The two looked at each other creepily, then back at us. They started to take steps back, their bare feet leaving footprints in the mossy ground that quickly disappeared. Maviot, we cannot leave the dungeon as specters swarm the tavern, and the summoner's wyverns may be there. We only have one path to follow in the labyrinth, and it leads us here. I will take the girl, and you can take the boy. I said it softly, but it was clear the creatures overheard as they failed to hide a smirk and were anticipating the fight. They have no weapons, maybe it said, assessing our opponents who stood 20 feet apart in the center of the chamber awaiting us. Shape-changers, remember? My guess is once we enter, they will change their form. Ready? Well, then you can't say, I'll take the girl and you will take the boy. I mean, I guess they will see, like, then they also know, like, I will take the left one, I will take the right one. But yeah. Yeah, my bad. It makes sense still to say that. Maviot studied the two children and slowly nodded. I rushed forward, prepared to use my ability and react to anything. The ground was spongy as I led with my round shield and black blade in the other hand. I'm amazed. I was like, what do you mean rush? Why did you rush? Because he was like, maybe there's traps in the ground. And he just rushes in like, oh. The two children just smiled, and I risked a glance at Maviot, who was 2 steps behind. I had let my adrenaline get the better of me and outpaced him. 20 feet from the children, their eyes blinked to a yellow. The girl's body started rapidly stretching first, quickly tearing through the rags she wore as she gained girth and height. Her skin stretched and became gray and veiny. Her messy hair retracted into her body as her head became bald and ridged with bones over the eyes. Okay. The creature had grown from less than 4 feet to over 8 in the short time it took to cover the ground. Long, lanky arms sported imposing black claws. The rags were gone and the creature appeared genderless. The creature took a defensive stance as I reached it. The creature's head suddenly disappeared. My other bottomed out after a brief struggle with its modest resistance. Okay. I changed my direction, pivoting in the moss, and my black blade slid into the outline of the ribs on the boy that had also grown into the same horror. The surprised creature backhanded me, and I easily intercepted the strike with my shield. I did not expect its immense strength as I was flung back, and my sword hilt was torn from my grasp. I had held it long enough to wrench the blade sideways through the body. I skidded on the carpet of the moss, the berry bushes slowing me. I caught Maviot swinging his hammer into the creature's knee. It had turned to face me, giving the Goliath a wide opening. A satisfying pop resounded in the room as the knee bent at the wrong angle. Ah, ah, and the creature fell to its knees. Ah, I hate that. Maybe it was already winding up from another swing at the creature's head. As the blow was coming, the creature's arm lashed out and grabbed the shaft, preventing the Goliath from completing a swing. The creature's arms were deceptively long even as the 7-foot-plus Goliath towered over the kneeling body. The other hand punched out into Maviot's leather armor, causing him to backpedal while releasing air in a huff. These things were just too strong. The only good sign was my black blade embedded in the creature was dripping a stream of blue-black blood. Its flat face had no mouth, but it still managed to hiss in pain and anger, but no recognizable words came from it. Standing, I realized my shield shoulder was dislocated. Pain flared when I tried to move, and I was unable to raise my arm, so I let the shield fall to the mossy ground. I drew the elven dagger with my good hand, but kept my distance. Maviot, how are you doing, big guy? I just assume, because he didn't say it, but he took the head then of the girl creature thingy shapeshifter, so I assume that she's dead. Because sometimes you don't know, like in fantasy and stuff, like is it enough to take the head or is it still alive? But they haven't mentioned it since, so I assume that it's dead. Maybe it coughed painfully as he supported his weight on his hammer. Some broken ribs, but I can still fight. The creature was looking back and forth between us as we flanked it now. It's just one left. It touched my sword exploratorily, but I decided not to extract it. With the flow of blood coming off the sword, I doubted it could live much longer. Maybe it had destroyed one knee, so it should remain immobile. We watched as it struggled to stand, and it gave up and lay down on the mossy floor. Keep an eye on it, I said, moving to the other creature's corpse. The other rich dungeon was helping me recover quicker, but it would still take some time before I could bring out the collector. Minutes passed slowly until I finally materialized the collector. I placed it on the corpse, and thick blue smoke was pulled from the body. What is that? Do you have a collector? Maybe it asked from the far side of the room. Yes, was my short reply, as the smoke coalesced into an apex essence. A myriad of ever-shifting colors swam inside the sphere as I picked it up. It felt weighty in my hand, denser than previous apex essences I had held. I slipped it under my armor and into a pocket. I circled wide of the creature and stood next to Maviot. He was audibly wheezing. I just hoped the reward for this room contained a healing potion. Give me a few minutes, and I will retrieve your bow for you. You can make sure the other one is dead. If you have your own bow in there, perhaps it is best if you shoot it. I think it might be too painful to draw my bow, he said with difficulty. I laughed. My shoulder is dislocated, but I can wait until I can heal myself. Go sit down and rest, Maviot. I will watch it. Maviot gratefully collapsed onto his back on the mossy floor. I stood over him, grabbed my wrist and pulled straight down. I swung my arm to him, and he reached up. I figured it would save some ether if he got it back in the socket. Maybe it yanked down, and a soft pop resounded in my body. Ooh, I have to touch my fucking shoulders now. Ooh. It had not been too bad. No, okay. So nice. I was able to move the arm, but raising it above my head was a burning pain. Minutes later, I drew the bow and missed from 10 feet. Constantine's voice echoed in my head, mocking me. Truthfully, I almost missed it now. My second, third, and fourth shots connected without the creature stirring. Cautiously, I moved in with the collector and used it to the same effect as the first time. Another swirling prismatic orb. From my experience, it was definitely a magic essence. Hiccup. I had Castile's library in the dreamscape, so I should be able to find which affinity. Now, if I were a reward chest, where would I be hiding? Damn, that one's so much smoother than I thought it would be. I mean, both of them are injured, but it's not life-threatening or anything. I also don't remember how long it will take for the creatures to respawn, for the room to reset. But I mean, he was fishing in the bear room for a while, and we never saw the bear respawn, so I assume they have some time, you know? Oi, here's the bear. Hello, bear. That's the red bear, I assume, that they're gonna meet next then. If the shapeshifter kids are telling the truth, that is. Chapter 149. A Song of Moss and Fire. Wow. I wonder where this is from. Moss and fire is funny though. The reward chest was not challenging to find. It was in the middle of a bush and was the same solid stone box I had found before, with no way to open it other than shattering it. This one was slightly larger, which gave me hope for a good haul. I turned it in my hand, and it clinked with coins and something heavier. I went to Maviet and sat beside him, shaking the box. Got the reward chest here, Maviet, hoping it contains a healing potion for you. Maviet looked over, interested and hope clearly on his face. I smashed the box with the elven dagger hilt, and it crumbled before I compromised it. I sifted through the debris and found 36 large blank silver coins and an apex essence in a mossy carpet. The golf ball sized sphere was a faded purple. Intelligence, if I remember correctly. Wait, golf ball size? That's huge, actually. I forgot they were that big. Did it have a healing potion? Maybe it asked, rolling onto his side to look at the loot. No, just some silver coins and an apex essence, I replied, holding up the sphere. Maybe it looked a little confused, so I assumed he had never seen an apex essence. Essences come in 3 sizes. The smallest are called lesser or minor essences, depending on who you ask and what you read. I produced the minor dark green quickness essence and handed it to him. The middle size is called greater or major essences. They are about twice the diameter of the minor ones. I let Maviet study the minor essence before continuing. The final ones are called apex essences. They are highly valued because they can raise your potential. I handed him the light purple sphere I had just obtained. Maviet turned the balls in his hand and focused on them. Flavius asked me if I ever saw you use an essence collector that matches that description. What did you tell him, Maviet? I asked, curious. I said no. He looked at me. Well, that's the truth. He never saw him use it. Did you have that the entire time? You should have used it on the manticores, Maviet's tired voice rumbled. I did. I was able to harvest all 3 of the manticores while you were recovering in the cabin. I produced the minor essences from the young manticore. The sphere was blue and had white cloud-like wisps inside, reminding me of the sky. This was from the young manticore. I handed it to him. Why is this one so much prettier than the others? Maviet said, intently focused on the magical spheres. I think it is because it can enhance a magic affinity, I said truthfully. Maviet made to hand the 3 essences back to me. Take one and consume it. The green is quickness, the pale purple is intellect, and the cloudy one is a magic affinity. I may be able to find out what it is once I study the books Castile left in the dreamscape. It did not take long before the gray-skinned man handed me back the 2 apex essences and placed the green one in his mouth. His expression went through a range of emotions. I feel tingly, like electric currents are being fired through my muscles. Different than the coordination essence. Just a few seconds later, he said, disappointed. The feeling is gone. I do not feel any different. It takes dozens of essences to affect real change. But there is a secret. Essences can help fortify an attribute and make it more difficult to lose points. I told him of the secret Constantine revealed. I still kind of felt like an ass and greedy just giving him the 1 essence. I should probably share the manticore and shape-changer essences with him in the future. I stood. I'm going to explore the corridors. Is there anything we can get from the bodies of the shape-changers? Maviet painfully stood and went to the nearby creature. It has muscle, but some monsters have toxic meat. I think these are mountain berries. He indicated the bushes. He plucked one and chewed it before spitting it out. It tastes like mountain berries as well. The moss looks like common moss used for stopping bleeding by soldiers and women. So soldiers and women. Maybe its tongue and teeth are stained a deep blue purple. I don't know how long it will take for the shape changers to reappear, but I think we have at least a day. Why don't you harvest the berries while I check the corridors? I offered to the Goliath. Okay, Eric, do not be too long, he said as he looked at my first kill. The stump of the head had soaked the moss in a large area with its dark blood. Where is the head of the other one? A slight panic hit me, and I walked to the beheaded creature and then circled the room. I placed the head behind a bush out of Maviet's sight. I picked it up to show him. It just rolled a little way over here. Okay, so he's not revealing all of that, because I would have thought, like, at this point, he would just be like, yeah, it's here. Maviet nodded, accepting. I was focused on mine and did not even see your strike, just a body falling to the ground. I thought I would keep some of my secrets if I could. Maybe it was not stupid. He just took time to puzzle things out and usually came to the correct answer. The more we traveled together here, the more he would see and learn. I placed one of the 20-gallon water casks on the moss. Water sloshed inside as I shook it, but not much remained. Maybe its eyebrow raised at the size of the cask, processing that it came from my space. Fill the canteen and use this to harvest the berries. The other water cask in my dimensional space was full, as I had only used this one to fill my canteen. I will also drink. My stomach is making so many noises, like it's so annoying, and I hope it does not get picked up. Not that it matters, but you know, it would just interrupt. There were 2 exits from this room. I faced the corridor where we entered and recalled what the shapeshifters had said. One corridor led to a dark room with treasure, and the other corridor led to a large, mean red bear. How did they even know the bear was mean if they could not leave their room? I looked down the corridor that had the dark room, and the black void was just 50 feet away. It did not look like a dungeon exit, though. I walked halfway to it and stopped. I had an ominous feeling start to creep in on me. I took another step, still 20 feet from the dark room. The light from the ceiling and floor did not penetrate the room. Even my glowstone could not shed light into the room. My uneasiness was too strong. I started backpedaling and returned to find Maviet lining the barrel with moss. It was Thanksgiving yesterday. Right, it was. We do not celebrate Thanksgiving. What do you eat? I only know you eat turkey. Hello, ghost. That is a good question indeed. They cannot know. They cannot know. And how did they know that the dark room had treasure in it? They're all full of bullshit. I realized I had cold sweat on my face as Maviet looked up at me, waiting for a report. There is a dark room that light cannot penetrate. It felt dangerous, and I could not bring myself to enter. Maybe we can try together if the other corridor is not feasible as well, Maviet offered supportively. Maybe, I said, but I did not even want to enter that corridor again. I walked to the other corridor and could not even see the end. Remembering Maviet's warning of traps, I used the butt of my spear like a blind man's cane as I proceeded, counting my steps. About 100 feet down, a side corridor opened to my left. The corridor I was following continued in a straight line, and there appeared to be an end in sight. I decided to continue down the corridor, reaching a room in just over 100 feet. Turkey ham, green bean casserole, stuffing, mashed potatoes, sweet potatoes, salad, corn, glass of red wine. This all sounds so shit. I wouldn't eat any of this. I hate mashed potatoes as well. Why do you destroy potatoes when why do you mash them? Like, it's what? Oosh. I've never liked mashed potatoes. There's this one place in Sweden that is like a what do you call that in English? But you know, like a tiny little, not a burger joint, but you know, like just a tiny little stall outside where they sell food, and they have mashed potatoes. And when I was little, that was the only mashed potatoes that I ate. No one else. And then at one point they changed the recipe, and then I haven't had mashed potatoes since because it's disgusting. Cheese and mashed potatoes. I mean, gift. What? I have shit taste. I have. No, my taste is good. It's just extremely. I'm picky as fuck. No. And sweet potatoes is fucking disgusting. Salad I would eat. Corn I do not like. Casserole, no way. Turkey I've never had, but no. Ham I hate. Green beans, disgusting. I'm so trash with food. So trash. If I was in this dungeon, I would be fucked, dude. Eating fish? No way. Sweet potatoes do suck, right? It's disgusting. Fuck that shit. Oosh. I will say it again. I have a palate of a child. Ah, and I never grew out of it. Holy shit. Even as a child, like I hated to eat food at other people's. Like if I were over at a friend's, they were like, "We're eating." I was like, "I will eat at home." I was like, "No, I will not trust this." Oosh. I have issues. Anyway. Where were we? But you were beyond the mound. I could not. I didn't read this at all, right? My mom's food was always way better. And none of my parents can cook, mind you. Like, I am the best cook in the family. No, my dad is good. He's fine. He just didn't. But yeah, my dad is fine. And then, me and my dad. I paused at the entrance to the room, taking it in. The ceiling was maybe 40 feet and had flashes of red, differentiating it from the ceilings I had seen so far. The room was also a massive hexagon, maybe 80 feet across. A massive mound of earth dominated the chamber's center, and the floor appeared to be a soft black soil. Around the chamber were 9 apple trees that I could see. Ooh. See, I could eat these. I could eat apples. But maybe more beyond the mound. I could not. I did not see an exit from the room, but the mound blocked my line of sight. The apples on the trees were all bright red and looked delicious. I studied the room, not wanting to take a step in. I remembered the lesson with the scorpion, where I had been trapped inside after entering. I finally picked something out. There were bear prints in the soil. Very large bear prints. I whistled as loud as I could, hoping to draw out the monster that guarded this room. I heard a heavy snort, and a red gargantuan bear sauntered from the other side of the mound. This bear was easily twice the size of the gray one I had killed. Its body rippled with fat and muscle as it walked. It had short red hair that seemed to shimmer like flame. Okay. The bear noticed me but did not charge. It just walked to me. No, okay. It just walked to one of the apple trees, its massive head sniffing, finding an apple it liked, and its long tongue wrapped around it, pulling it free. What's from the crown of the tree? Like from the tree? How big is this thing? Or how short is the tree? It crunched into the apple, its massive jaws crunching it and causing a foamy drool to form. It eyed me as it ate apple after apple. It was clearly waiting for me to enter. Was there just one red bear? It did not look like a normal bear. Did it have a hidden power? I stepped into the room hesitantly. What? Man, you just said, because it's Scorpion room, I will not do this. Wait for me, Viet. What the fuck? Why are you in such a rush? The corridor did not seal behind, allowing me to exhale in relief. Yeah, and what if it did? What if it fucking did? The bear finished its current apple but did not charge me. It just watched me. I realized this bear was much smarter than a normal bear. No shit. It knew I could run if it charged. It yawned, acting unconcerned, but took a half step in my direction. I remained near the corridor, not planning to move further into the chamber. Well, Yogi, are we going to do this? I asked. I know that this is like a reference to some fucking cartoon thingy. I remember that I know there's something called Yogi, but I have zero relation to this. The red bear took another step toward me at my words. I did not move. I took patient step after patient step, its eyes locked to mine. Its head was at eye level with me as it approached. The eyes were a deep red, almost black, as it approached. When it reached 15 feet, the extreme range of my reach, its body suddenly tensed, ready to rush and reach me before I could flee. It never got its chance, as the front half of its head had been removed. The body collapsed quickly, and I could see the reward chest appear on top of the mound behind the bear after its body collapsed. Yes, I was cheating the dungeon out of a fight, but I did not care. What the fuck, that's what you're supposed to do. There's no fighting fair in a fucking dungeon. What the fuck do you mean? Fuck that. I just hoped the dungeon did not have a consciousness and started to change the rooms to counter my ability. I climbed the mound, eager to check the chest. The stone case was easily shattered to reveal 20 large silver coins and 2 potion vials. I recognized the runic writing on one of the dungeon potions, as it was the same one I had received after defeating the Grey Bear. I had a healing potion from Aviet. Score! A greater healing potion. Oh! The other potion had unfamiliar runic writing, but I could probably find out what it was in the books Castile manifested inside the dreamscape. As I approached the bear, I sent the coins and the unknown potion to storage. The essence collector ready. It worked rapidly, pulling in the smoky essence to form a black sphere that flickered with red and orange flames. Another Apex magic essence. Holy shit. Hello, welcome, Space Ape. I wish I could cook for you, poor people. I would correct your opinions. Sweet potatoes are meant to be candied. Mashed potatoes are meant to have butter, cream cheese, salt, garlic, chives, etc. What the fuck? No, I've just had, mashed potatoes. Maybe there's some butter in there and salt. I mean, I fucking hate that shit. Oh. 4-hour food coma. Well, nice. I mean, I'm happy with the... No, I'm not. I wish I could eat more. That's so sad. It is so sad. It tastes like fucking ass. I hate it so much. Oh, typical Swedish mashed potatoes. But yeah. I sent the essence and collector to storage, took the apex essence of intellect, and consumed the large, faded purple sphere. It dissolved on my tongue and tasted like cotton candy. Or maybe that is just what I wanted it to taste like, as it rapidly dissolved. I quickly received a brain freeze as the essence worked. I was grateful for having a many times greater effect from essences, but the physiological changes were much more pronounced for me, especially when I consumed apex essences. Speaking of fucking cotton candy, I heard yesterday, I feel like this is not true, but it was like, cotton candy actually has way less sugar than people think. And I was like, isn't it all sugar? Isn't that what fucking cotton candy is? It's just sugar. Like, there's barely anything else. It's like, it's fluffy sugar. So I'm like, what the fuck do you mean less sugar than people think? How much sugar do they think that it is? I have no source of this. I don't know if it's true or not, but I thought like that. No way, right? No way. We had brownies, chocolate chip cookies, pumpkin pie, and apple crumb pie for dessert. I've never had pumpkin pie. Spontaneously, it sounds disgusting because pumpkin, ugh. But the other things sounds nice. But holy shit, what a dessert. The fuck? I understand the food coma. That is weird, right? I think it is weird as well. I have no idea, but yeah. Grateful as the feeling faded, I looked at the bear. With the elven blade, I quickly cut a sizable bear steak. I carried the stake back down the long corridor to return to Maviet as proof of my victory. Maviet was hunched over a berry bush and looked up. His lips were a bright blue. Sampling the merchandise, Maviet? I questioned him. The berries are extremely sweet, he smiled. His teeth were a deep blue. At least I had a few drafts of the mouthwash in my dimensional space. Is that meat? I held up the steak. From a bear with rippling red fur that reminded me of fire as it moved. Maviet's brow furrowed in thought. A fire bear? They are dangerous foes. No fire, magical or otherwise, can harm them. They are incredibly strong and fast. Yeah, it was a tough fight, I said dismissively. Do you want to go help harvest the rest of it? Maybe after you drink this healing potion. I held up the prize in my other hand. Maybe its eyes went wide, focusing on the tiny vial. Dude, Eric is so good at like distracting. He's like, anyway, so I did this, but look at these. It's like maybe it's a little child and he's like dangling his keys, like, oh, but look, maybe it. Attention, oh, over here. It's like, oh my god. Chapter 150, Dungeon Wanderings. Maviet drank the healing potion, and his face instantly relaxed. He must have been in intense pain, as a euphoric expression came across his face. He started to rotate his torso, a smile spreading across his face. He picked up his hammer and swung it in an arc above his head, grinning as he did so. His deep voice echoed in the room. Thank you, Eric. I can help you fight the dungeon creatures now. Maviet's eyes focused on the bear steak. He licked his dark blue stained lips. Do you want me to cook that? I pulled out our packs and the thermal stone, and Maviet got to work cooking. A shame we do not have either salt or pepper, Maviet said regretfully. We do, I said, and deposited one of 3 5-pound bags of sea salt and a bag of peppercorns on the mossy ground. Maviet's eyes were wide with surprise. I explained not using them earlier. I did not see the value in flavoring our meager offerings with the company. If I had revealed this in the tavern, others would have become aware of my larger dimensional space. Castile was able to keep my larger space from being known by the company. Castile knows, Maviet said, taking the salt and pepper reverently. I think the appearance of the 2 common spices surprised him more than the large elven tablet table. At least he was more appreciative of them, because he knows its value, he knows what it is. Castile, Denlar, and Adrian. A bad memory resurfaced at that moment. Just Castile and Adrian now. Maviet carefully counted peppercorns to grind, as if he was already rationing them. I have 2 more bags of salt, but that is all the peppercorns I have. Maviet nodded, but focused on crushing the peppercorns, careful not to lose any of the spice. While Maviet cooked, I tried one of the berries. It tasted like a blueberry, but the juice was thicker, the consistency closer to syrup. I started eating them by the handful, believing they were not poisonous. Maviet charged a thermal stone, cut the steak into 1-inch cubes, lightly seasoned them, and then seared all 6 sides, forming a brown crust. He handed me the first one, and it practically melted in my mouth with an explosion of flavor. The center just slightly pink. Ew. I had forgotten how salt and pepper magnified taste. I savored the taste while my salivary glands worked overtime. Saliva. Maviet tried one next, and soon they were gone, and he was working on the second batch to finish off the steak. We should harvest the bear after this. This is some of the best bear meat I have ever cooked, Maviet voiced eagerly while turning the cubes. I let Maviet have most of the second cooking of the bear meat, and then we picked up camp and headed to harvest the bear. It had been almost 2 hours since I had killed it, and I was wondering if it would still be there. Where does that lead? Maviet asked of the side passage halfway to the bear mount chamber. I did not explore it yet. Best to keep things simple and explore one room at a time, I counseled. Not that I was an experienced dungeon delver myself. I immediately knew something was wrong as we reached the chamber. The bear should have been visible, but I did not see the carcass. Are those apple trees? Maviet said excitedly, not noticing the worry on my face about the missing bear. Wait, Maviet. The bear is gone. Stay here. I stepped into the room, expecting the fire bear to have respawned. I circled along the outer wall to the other side of the chamber. The mound had a cave entrance opposite our door. From a distance, I tossed in a glowstone, and it was not very deep and also empty, just a shallow den. It is fine, Maviet. You can enter. Maviet immediately plucked an apple and then crunched into it, chewing and savoring it. I had a cynical thought. Without Constantine here, I had Maviet as a poison taster. Oh wow. I knew I should not be thinking that way, as I considered him a friend, but I could not help having considered it. I mean, I understand the thought, but it's also fun. Take some apples and let us go back to the blueberry room. Why? Should we not be exploring further in the dungeon? Maviet asked, his jaws working loudly on his second apple. I just want to check and see if the bodies are gone. The dungeon reclaimed the bear quickly, but we were in the blueberry room for half a day, and the bodies never disappeared. I voiced my concerned thoughts. I dropped some dirty socks from my space under one of the apple trees to see if the dungeon reclaimed them by the time we returned. Maviet soon had 40 tasty picked apples on a tarp, and we retreated from the room. I paused in the corridor, Maviet following suit. The socks under the tree slowly sank into the earth and disappeared. It had only taken the dungeon seconds to claim them after we vacated the room. Did you see that? I asked Maviet. I did. He thought for a moment. We should not leave anything behind, he noted while eating another apple. I nodded, thinking we had been lucky enough to leave the tablet table or barrel of berries behind while exploring. It was also somewhat spooky. Could the dungeon just absorb us at any time? I knew I now had a new source for my nightmares. We returned to the blueberry room but did not enter. The bodies of the shape-changers were gone. They had not revived, as there were no movement in the open room and nowhere to hide. I think the berry bushes are full again, Maviet noted excitedly. I stripped every bush to fill the barrel, but they are flush with berries again. That seemed awfully fast, but then again, dungeons drew on other from magical ley lines. I decided not to enter, and we returned to the fire bear room. The apple trees that Maviet had picked had much smaller apples, like they were in the middle of growing, compared to the large fist-sized ones he had picked already. The question was, how long did it take for the creatures to respawn? If we never left the room, would they never return? No. I remembered my first trip into a dungeon, and there were special safe rooms like the entry room. Maviet, we need to look for the others and find a safe room. It is a room like where we entered, with the elvish writing on the wall. Maviet abruptly let out a long, wet-sounding fart. Why was it so described? Why? Oh. He rushed to remove his leather leggings and squat nearby. Squatting, he said, I'm fine. I just ate too many berries and apples. Oh. Oh my god. He said as the serving sounds echoed in the chamber as he emptied his bowels. He probably had eaten a few pounds of berries and apples to go with his bear steak. I waited and harvested some apples while Maviet groaned, painting the earthen floor. Nej men fy fan. I decided to stay away from that particular area. I knew my own time of having a substantial bowel movement was in the near future. Oh fy helvete. I distracted myself by thinking of our needs. We needed water, so we needed to find a room with water. My 20 gallons might last us 20 days at most of heavy activity. But were not apples mostly water? There had to be 200 or 300 apples on the tree, maybe more. Maybe it finished its business and we spent a few hours harvesting 3 bushels of apples. Picking the apples made me miss Ginger. Oh, but I was glad she had not come with us. Yeah, fuck that. If she had survived to make it to the library, she most likely would have been used to feed the company. Maybe it looked much healthier and was moving without any pain. With all the apples in my storage, I announced, as we explore, we will always take the right corridor. Maybe it nodded in agreement, and we started walking down the corridor opposite the fire bear den. 40 strides and we came to a T intersection. Both corridors looked identical. We turned right, as agreed, and came to a small room, maybe 30 feet across. We studied the room without entering it. The floor was a dark blue marble, and only the ceiling illuminated the room. Each of the 3 walls had a sizable alcove covered in thick vines. The vines were dotted with small red flowers that had yellow veins. Mavieth was standing over me as we both took everything in. I do not see any creatures, Mavieth's voice echoed into the room. His large hammer was in his hand. The vines are fairly thick, so something could be hiding there, or even the vines themselves are dangerous, I said, remembering the shambling mounds. Are the plants familiar to you? I asked my large companion. He hesitated in deep thought. No, I have not seen any like them. There is also no exit from this room. It could be a safe room, I guessed, but I say we do not enter and turn around. I looked up at Mavieth, who nodded in agreement. We left the vine room undisturbed and followed the corridor back to the intersection, taking the other route. Mavieth noticed first. The corridor is curving. We are slowly turning right. I don't know if that is a bad thing or not, I muttered, unhappy with how little I knew about dungeons. I lamented never reading any books on dungeons in the Duchess library. I lost count of steps after 100 as we followed the slightly curving corridor. It eventually straightened out, but there was no end in sight. I was guessing we had walked around a quarter mile without seeing a side corridor or a room. Should we turn around? Maybe it asked, also feeling uncomfortable at the monotonous scenery. I considered before replying. Let us see this one to the end. After another 300 or so steps, it finally looked like there was a room ahead. I think I was more worried now about the size of the dungeon and finding the others from the company. Water, Mavieth intoned behind me, and I heard it too. We approached entry and were amazed at the sight beyond. A massive domed room, maybe 300 feet across, was being fed by a waterfall at its zenith. The waterfall created a misty environment that resulted in a myriad of rainbows from the illuminated ceiling. A large pool dominated the center of the room, and waist-high grass surrounded the pool. In it was Constantine. Do you see any creatures? I asked, studying the room intently. Mavieth had over a foot of height on me. There is something in the grass. The sound of the water splashing into the pool prevented us from being able to hear anything. A head suddenly appeared above the grass. Constantine? It looked like a weird giant chicken, with a yellow and red crest of feathers. It flapped its wings, which were featherless, leathery, and dark gray. What the fuck? Maybe something bigger in here feeds on them, I guessed. A second of the oversized chickens raised their heads elsewhere in the grass. It turned to face us, and maybe its large palm covered my face. His hand smelled foul as he dragged me backward. I was too surprised to resist. Those are not chickens, Eric. His voice was somewhat panicky. I reflexively spat when he released me and looked at him to explain further. They have the gaze of a Medusa. They can turn you to stone, petrify your flesh. What the fuck? I started to look back, but maybe it grabbed my shoulders or prevented me. I have seen them hooded and for sale in the city of Balsa. They are a plague on the plains, and the nobility hunts them for sport and for their meat for banquets. You either need to hunt them blindfolded or with magical sight. With that waterfall in there, we have no chance of finding them. We must seek another path, he implored. I nodded in agreement. How many did you see? I asked Goliath, who was still uneasy. At least 3, but the grass was high. There could be many more. Please tell me we are not entering the room, maybe it pleaded. I gave it some thought and finally nodded. I knew what a Medusa was from mythology and did not want to be returned into a statue. There was a corridor on the far side of the room. It may be our only option. Can we not just leave the dungeon? Mavieth muttered, still clearly upset at the cockatrice room. I reminded him. No, we need to find Castile and the Kettle of Souls to exit the dungeon. Otherwise, we will be swarmed by specters. We began to walk back to the Fire Bear room. We waited and confirmed it had not been revived before entering. The apples had already started regrowing on the trees. Instead of returning to the shape-changer room, we turned right down the unexplored corridor. The corridor ended in a Y intersection, and I was glad we had more options. We took the right corridor and soon reached a rectangular room. Well, this does not look quite as bad as cockatrices. Cockatrices? I cannot say this word. Maybe it muttered merrily. His fright evaporating from seeing the cockatrices, he pulled his hammer off his belt loop. Maybe I hate spiders. I bemoaned at our misfortune. The entire room was covered from floor to ceiling in thick webbing that shimmered with the illumination from the ceiling and floor. The thick strands vibrated slightly from the unseen spiders hiding within. I assume we can look at the picture. Spider. Okay, yeah. Okay. Oh. Spiders are up next. I feel I like that it was only Mavieth that he entered with, because then he can show him some stuff, and it feels a bit like I feel a bit of relief now. I'm like, you know, now someone else knows, type of thing. And I like Mavieth. I want him to know, you know? I feel like the dungeon is going way easier than I thought it would. Like they're already on the third room, just like that, you know? I wonder if they're gonna who they're gonna find. I wonder if Castile and Constantine, who was it? Castile? Castile, Constantine, Adrian, and someone else that I cannot remember were in one group. I wonder if they even entered. I wonder how Brutus and Fabius is doing. Flavius and Brutus. I hope they got into an easy room and that they can just be like, oh, no, we just chill the whole time, you know, that type of thing. Because Brutus is already dead. No, he's fine. I think he is fine. I think Brutus didn't need healing. But Flavius, I mean, then Brutus would have to do everything. So, yeah. I'm a bit concerned about those, if anything. And as I said, if Castile and her group even entered the dungeon. Yeah. It's such a fucked situation, but I'm very interested to see what happened. I did not expect so much to go wrong before they even entered the dungeon. And when they entered, they only become two all of a sudden. And here I was before, it was like, oh, Remus, Soren, and Cyrus. The one group that I was like, who the fuck even? Like, oh, they're just cannon fodder, you know? But nope, they're a stronger group than Flavius and Brutus all of a sudden, so. But we will see next time. Hello there, hello there. Welcome to the end of the stream. Oh. Every time. It do be like that. So fast. Today felt so fast. I didn't even see that you followed me. Thank you, Space Ape 777 for the follow. My fucking sound is too low. I can't hear it. I'm sorry, but I'm saying thank you now if you're still here. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, now it's time for the fucking weekend. It's time for weekend. And then we're heading into next week. And we will read some more. Probably and stream some more. Yeah, look forward to that. You can ask the quick question. Ask away. We have, indeed. The Berserker has been caught, if that was the last thing you saw. Good stream. Thank you, JB. It is really. Oh, well, I'm really happy that I'm allowed to read it. I haven't talked to Always Rosa One in a while because since I was sick and stuff. we are halfway through, almost halfway through the third book now. I hope that we'll get permission to read the fourth one and continue on. I'll have to ask him once we get a little bit closer to the end. The last time he hit me up himself, he was like, "Oh, you're this close now. Here's the third book," and I was like, "Ah." So, but soon it's time for me to ask him again. So, the shiny run has been progress. We are hunting for Boulder. That's what he's. Nah, is that what it's called? Roggenrola's evolution. We are hunting him now. It is a lot better than some novels I've read. Yes, Boulder. Boulder. Yes, we're hunting Boulder right now. Maybe do some shiny hunting next week as well. I attempted to. I just sang along a little bit when I was cooking pancakes yesterday. I was making pancakes. And then I had some music and I sang along a little bit. And then just from that, I could already feel my lungs like I'm not healthy enough for this yet. So that's also why I'm taking it a bit slow now. Simple streams, you know, because I was sick for so fucking long. So I have to, and since it's still pretty fresh, the sickness, and since it affected my lungs so much, I have to rest for like, about the same amount of time that I was sick. So I'm taking it extremely slowly. Ooh, pancakes. Hell yeah. I make very good pancakes. Swedish pancakes, not fat pancakes. Fat American pancakes. I know, right? I don't know. The fucking German germs are hitting me harder. Maybe. Who knows? Maybe I'm still getting used to this shit. It's not nice. It's horrible. But yeah. But, Wawas. How did we not see it? It's in the name! Oh my god, it's in the name! The germs! The German germs. You're correct. Well, thank you so much everyone for coming and watching my little stream. We had fun. Hope you had fun. We had fun. We had fun. Okay? You had fun. Please feel free to go and follow me on my socials. You know it already. I have the Blue Sky, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, Twitch, the VOD channel. We have the Discord server, which is the most important one, because that's where I post announcements and stuff. Yeah. So go to the Discord server, join it. It's free. Thank you so much for coming. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, an awesome weekend, and if everything goes my way, I will see you again next week. So, see you then. Hey do. Bye bye. Thank you.